Hi guys, my name is Vỵ. I'm 24 years old. I have taken the IELTS test and my score was 7.5. I used to learn in IELTS Fighter and I studied in class B208, and today I'm going to share with you some of the tips and experience that I have had when learning IELTS.
So 7.5 overall is actually a dream of lots of people, you know. And today let's figure out what is your secret in order to succeed in the IELTS test, okay? So why did you decide to take the IELTS test but not other certificates like TOEIC or FC, etc.?
Well, I have reached the IELTS because of its reputation, and the IELTS have the advantage and have an edge over the several other tests too. Like they are like an accredited certificate for me to have a chance to study abroad too.
Okay, so do you intend to study abroad? In which country?
If I have the opportunity to study abroad, I would choose the US.
The US, okay. So I hope that after the COVID-19 lockdown, you can realize your dream, okay? So what is your biggest difficulty, like speaking, writing, reading, or listening?
From my perspective, I think speaking and writing are the most daunting tasks because it requires for me to communicate, to have a constant feedback from the others in order to enhance my capability and in order to get a higher attainment of a proficiency level.
Okay, so we will get back later to for you to share more experience about that part, okay? Okay, so about your journey in IELTS, you are now, what is your job? What is your major?
I'm currently working as a general practitioner.
Okay, general practitioner. And you study IELTS at the same time. So how did you manage your time? Because I know that the students from your major, they are very, very busy with tests. I mean, it seems like they tend to have tests every single week, right? So how did you manage your time so well?
Well, at first I was struggle to find the solution to distribute appropriately my time between studying my major and English exam, but luckily I found some of my friends who was taking the exam too, and we have some shared tips and experience each other. And my first and foremost important tips are I have to take advantage of all of the time during the class in the centers, and I dedicate myself into a certain fixed timetable like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on which was solely devoted to English, and I was at the time concentrated and disciplined to follow my own schedule in order not to get interrupted or not to get carried away by other tasks. And also, when I had some spare time or was spending time with my friends, I can have a chat with them in English. Also, I have immersed myself into watching YouTube or Netflix in order to enhance my proficiency skills in English.
Yeah, that's really cool because not only studying in a class, but you have to be very strict to stick to your plan and keep practicing every time, everywhere. I'm just wondering, like, you know, what role does English play in your occupation in the future or in your major? Because I know some students from your school, from your university, they tend to study French rather than English. So what is the reason for choosing English?
For in my several years back in university, I have taken the French class too, and I found it those two languages have so many similarities, but also in medicine, just medicine, English plays a major role in the medicine, because in the English-speaking nations such as the US, England, the UK, or the Canada, they have the advanced and cutting-edge technology in medicine, in order to catch up with that state-of-the-art technology, I must keep learning English in order to attain the knowledge or the guidelines that they provided all over the world, in order to help myself better in medicine and to be much better practitioner.
Yeah, I agree. So you have to use English a lot to for your studying in your major. So talking about the 4 skills in the test, how did you prepare for the 4 skills? Like firstly, reading and listening.
From my opinion, before taking IELTS as serious as everybody expected, I was immersed myself in listening and reading, and luckily I built up my vocabulary, and also some of my collocation came from just listening and reading at home. But when I found the IELTS test and the IELTS, I found many struggles in order to obtain the high band score, and I decided to take the course in the IELTS centers.
So what are the books or any sources that you use to improve your listening skill?
From my own experience, I always have frequently access to a YouTube channel. Luckily, I found it quite an interesting way to build up my English resources, and also to improve my English skills too. And some of the channels that I frequently have a visit are TED or TEDx, or Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, or some of the channel of that categories. And also I also read some of the famous press newspapers such as the New York Times or the Guardian, in order to enrich my knowledge too.
Okay, that's really cool. And how about speaking and writing? Because as you mentioned before, you don't have many chances to practice speaking with other people and to improve your pronunciation. So how did you improve speaking skills?
As I said it before, during the class, during the period of taking the class in B208, I always dedicate myself to partaking in the speaking and writing in Mr. Huytak's class, and I always find ways to get over it. And I have a group of 2 friends, and then we practice English together in about a half or a month before taking the exam, and I found it quite effective. And concerning writing, Mr. Huytak gave me a lot of homework assignment, and I found it like a motivation impulse to catapult me in order to get a good band score in writing too. And I will always finish the task on time in order to submit to Mr. Huytak, maybe to get his feedback from him in order to fix my errors and enhance my skills too.
Yeah, you're such a hard-working student, I have to say. So, do you usually use English to write essay in your university?
Unfortunately not, because in my major doesn't require much of that writing.
And some students they tell me that it's really hard for them to get the ideas for test 2 in writing IELTS. So can you share some of your tips to get the ideas when it comes to test 2 of writing?
I don't have any specific advice, but I find it quite effective when I constantly read and listen to the articles or the channels, YouTube channels, and that source is very abundant, and they have so many research resources that I can obtain from, and I think just in order to get the idea, I must immerse myself into a much rich content on YouTube or newspaper. Yeah, just keep reading and keep listening in order to get the ideas to be etched on your mind.
Okay, totally with that. And finally, what advice would you give to other people who are about to take the test or who are doing their preparation?
Honestly, I don't have good, very standard advice, but I do think you must find a good way, such as a good teacher in order to guide you in a well-oriented path to attain the level you want to obtain. And also you have to be always in preparation of taking the test, and always dedicate yourself into the test also. Always just keep learning, keep listening and reading whenever you can in your spare time or in your leisure time too, in order to be like a native speaker or something like that.
Okay, thank you so much for your interesting story and also your advice to everyone who's watching us.
So if you want to achieve a high band score, please come and see Mr. Huy and IELTS Fighters. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, share and subscribe. Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye and see you soon.
IELTS Fighter, tiên phong phổ cập IELTS cho người Việt.